Hi there. For today's story time, we have a book called The Relatives Came. And you might notice this book got an award. It got a Caldecott Award, which is always awarded for the best picture book. So it's really an award for the pictures. So check them out while we read it. This book was written by Cynthia Rylant and illustrated by Stephen Gamel. When the relatives came. Yeah, look at all those suitcases. There's the first page. Okay. You see, it looks like their house. They live in the city or the country? Looks like out in the country. I don't see very many houses close by, do you? And here's the car they're loading up. It was summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left their grapes, which were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. So it looks like this is the house of the relatives and they're packing up to leave is what I think. What do you think? They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car. And in it, they put an ice chest full of soda pop, some boxes of cracker, some bologna sandwiches, and up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. So I think from the look of the car and some other things, this story might have happened a long time ago. Kind of a long time ago. Let's see as it goes on if we think it's modern, happening now, or if it was a while ago. It says they had an ice chest, which is like a cooler, full of soda pop. That's what some people call soda. Look, there it goes. Dude, that's pretty silly, way up high. And they're still going up on this road, and there they go. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and the different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. So Virginia is a state, like California is a state. It's in the eastern part of the United States. So they drank up all their soda pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. I bet those children were waiting, thinking they were coming soon. What do you think they might be saying? Here they are, or look, they're here. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. They're so happy to see them, aren't they? You see all the different people they're hugging? Grandmas and grandpas, uncles and aunts. It's always exciting when your family comes. Then it was into the house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. They're starting at the front door, and you can see all the different rooms in the house. There's a baby. Do you think the baby wants to be hugged? It looks like maybe not. Or maybe they're making him feel better by hugging. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk. And we were in 2s and 3s throughout the house. So sometimes people call dinner that you eat in the evening supper. My goodness, look, they have to sit all different places to eat because there's so many people. So it said they're taking turns at the table too. Even the dog is getting a little snack. Do you see that? So much food, it's falling off. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. Excuse me, look at all them. They are squished, aren't they? I think maybe this little girl can't sleep. Do you think people are snoring maybe? Look at the dog. He's even sleeping with his legs up. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden and they fixed broken things they could find. Wow, look at all the different things they're doing. A haircut, like they're playing. Storytelling, giving piggyback rides. Looks like this lady is fixing his truck and the wheel. They're raking leaves. Oh, they're playing in a big box. That's always fun. Lots of things going on, aren't there? They ate up all our strawberries and melons, then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. They're still doing lots of things. Mending fences. Look, they're eating watermelon. That's one of my favorites. Looks like they're playing music. Look at the different instruments they have. I see a guitar. I see a violin. I see a banjo and a cello. Do you know all those? Cello, banjo, guitar, and violin. I bet you do. That looks like fun. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Do you think they're happy to be together? I think they are. They're posing for a picture. Look, she's probably saying, look over here. And there's that dog. What's he busy doing? I think he's cleaning up after the picnic. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. There they go. They're all waving. There they are in their jammies. Look, the moon is still out. It's nighttime. Or really early morning at 4 o'clock. So it's not all the way light yet. And the relatives drove on all day long into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and the different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. It's always kind of sad when you have people come visit and they leave, isn't it? And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about next summer. So they came all the way down the roads, and they're back at home. There's their farm. You think their grapes are ready to pick? I don't think we can see them in this picture. And that's, oh, look, there's a picture of grapes on the back. And that's the end. We haven't been able to see families quite so much since we've had the COVID virus going around, and we've kind of been being careful. So this is kind of a fun way you can think about visiting and how much fun it is when you get to see your big family. I hope you enjoyed the book, and I will see you at next story time. Bye-bye.